life spiritually, we're talking spiritually now, you decided to take a detour on God. The spark isn't there anymore. The Bible, when you read it, just seems to be some sort of perfunctory little act that you put on, and, well, it's a good thing to do. Maybe you'll at least read the Christmas story. Or every now and then you'll read your favorite verse. But, the spark's gone. Used to in your life, there was a sense of passion and hunger and thirst. There was a desire to want to be with God, study His Word, and pray. It was not a matter of just doing it because it was a routine sort of thing. It wasn't flippant. It was a passion that every day of your life you wanted to take up your cross and follow Christ, to know Him more, to love Him more, to walk with Him more. And somehow we've excused ourselves that when life gets busy, God understands, and we kind of check Him out. Guys, everyone's busy. Maybe you're busier than others. I do know that priorities, spiritually speaking, cannot be dictated by busyness. If we're too busy for God, we're just too busy. I'll never forget when I was in graduate school, I had a friend that I had come to know in Georgia, was finishing his medical residency at the University of Louisville. And Louisville, did I say that right? Louisville. And this guy, 4 years of medical school, 4 years of college prior to that, had a 5-year residency. 5 years of residency. He was busy. But one thing I admired about this friend of mine is that even though he was busy, he taught Sunday school, if you still remember Sunday school, called it a life group, at his church. Now, there are days he couldn't be there. But he stayed connected to God in his personal life. It wasn't about being busy at church. He just knew that if he was going to make it in life, he needed to be a part of a church family to encourage him, and he'd be an encouragement to others. So I don't know of too many people busier than Ken was. In fact, some of the stuff they do is absolutely insane. So I think that maybe the problem that we've used to excuse our behavior of too busy, too much going on, I think it's just another thing that draws us slowly and subtly, desperately distant from God. We're not talking about if you're saved or not. We're not talking about, if that's been a subtle thing in your life. We're talking about growing and maturing and walking with God, growing in the things of the Spirit. So I ask you, what will you do with the detours of your life? And we all have them. Will you lose focus, or will you focus on the loss? Sometimes we can be so focused on the detours of our life, the losses, that we focus so much in the past that we've become so consumed with the past. And as a result, we develop this fear of the future. Oh, it really happened bad here. Now, will it happen again in the future? So we become enamored with this whole idea of loss here, potential loss there. And do you realize as in the reality of it, you cease to exist altogether with? You don't have a present. If you're always worrying about the past, you're just struck with anxiety and fear for your future, you don't have a present. You're just existing. So I wonder, in our spiritual life, do we worry so much about our past sins, and do we have this fear of what may be our future? And spiritually and even practically, we cease to exist. We have no presence in our life. What will you do when detours come in your life? What will you do when the delays of your life? What will you do with those? Sometimes we're put on the shelf for whatever reason. We're put on the sidelines. There are seasons of our life. Will we be impulsive and use the sort of delay in our life to jump out on something we should have never been a part of? And I've been there, done that. Or will we consider in the midst of this impulsivity of our life and the delay of our life, will we stop long enough and consider the consequences if we do it? You know, sometimes when you talk about dealing with sin, sometimes just putting in your brain, now if I do this, and the temptation is there, your adrenal glands are just pumping that stuff all over your body. You are full of so much norepinephrine, you just are pumped. And right now you could do anything and everything. And the temptation's coming. Your heart's even begin to beat. You feel it flush down through your legs. It's like, whoa. And the temptation's overcoming you. Sometimes if you'll just stop and think about, now if I do this, what will the consequences be? Ooh, lose my job, get put in jail. I don't think I need to do this. And believe it or not, sometimes just thinking about the consequences helps us to come to reality. Well, not only delays, but the last thing is, what will you do with the disappointments of your life? Will you lose hope or discover it? Has anyone ever been disappointed? Raise your hand. Oh, wait a minute. Raise your hand. Rest of you lying. Everybody's been disappointed. So we have something in common. Isn't that good? Everyone in this room, we have something in common because we've been disappointed. Isn't that good? Question is, what will you do with it? Listen, I've had a lot of disappointment in my life. You know who's really disappointed me the most? People. People. I don't get it. Some of them church folk. Just disappointed. What were you thinking? What were they thinking? And you come to the place, well, am I going to find and discover hope, or will I lose hope in the midst of this? Or I can tell you, sometimes in my life, I became bitter. Just bitter. Seriously, I don't think I can say that word. Seriously bothered. One thing I learned, talking about sowing and reaping, bitterness never produces betterness. I don't know if that's a word, but you know what I'm saying. If you conjugate